Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. The first time Sophia compared me to another man, we were standing in our kitchen on a Friday evening. I had just come home from work. I managed a commercial construction crew, and that week had been rough. Two workers had called in sick, a delivery had arrived late, and I had spent most of the afternoon fixing problems that weren't supposed to be mine. Sophia was sitting at the island with a glass of wine, scrolling through her phone. "You're late," she said. 20 minutes. "You said you'd be home at 6. "I said I'd try to be home at 6. She put her phone down. "That's the difference between you and men who actually know how to make things happen." I looked at her. "What does that mean?" She shrugged. "Nothing." "No, say it." Sophia smiled. "You're always so serious, Elliot. Work, bills, repairs, schedules. Everything with you is practical. And? And sometimes I wonder if there's anything else." I took off my watch and placed it on the counter. "If you're unhappy, tell me why." She laughed. "You make everything so intense." "No, I'm asking you a simple question." She picked up her wine. "I just think life could be more exciting." "Then make it exciting." She stared at me. "What?" "You heard me. If you want something different, say what you want. Don't sit there taking shots at me and expect me to guess." Her expression hardened. "You've changed." "No, I'm just not ignoring it anymore." She pushed away from the island and walked toward the living room. "Maybe that's your problem. You think being dependable makes you special." I watched her stop near the doorway. Then she added, "Some women want more than dependable." That one stayed with me. Not because it hurt, because it sounded rehearsed. That night, I went into the garage to finish repairing an old motorcycle I had bought a few months earlier. Around 8, my friend Grant stopped by. He took one look at me and said, "Trouble?" "Sophia's unhappy." "With what?" "Apparently, being dependable isn't enough." Grant frowned. "Did she say that?" "Almost exactly." He nodded slowly. "Then don't chase her." I wasn't planning to. I tightened the bolt on the motorcycle and looked at him. "If she wants something different, she can tell me what it is." Grant gave me a serious look. "Good. Because once somebody starts comparing you to some imaginary better man, you don't win by trying harder." I nodded. That was the night I stopped trying to figure out what Sophia wanted. I decided she could tell me herself. The next Saturday, Sophia and I went to a neighborhood fundraiser at a private club near the marina. It was supposed to be a simple dinner with people we both knew. I almost didn't go. Sophia insisted. "You're always working. Come out and act like a husband for one night." I looked at her. "I've been your husband every night. Don't confuse that with being your audience." She rolled her eyes. "Just come." So I did. For the first hour, everything was fine. I spoke with a few contractors I knew, had a drink, and stayed out of Sophia's conversations. Then she joined a group near the bar. I was standing 10 feet away when I heard her laughing. "Elliot doesn't understand vacations," she said. "If there's no hardware store within 10 miles, he thinks it's a wasted trip." The group laughed. Sophia looked directly at me. "Tell them about the beach house." I walked over. "What about it?" She smiled. "He spent 3 days fixing a broken cabinet instead of enjoying himself." "It was broken," I said. "Exactly." More laughter. I looked around the group, then back at Sophia. "You've got something you want to say to me?" Her smile disappeared for half a second. "Relax. It's a joke." "No, a joke is funny for both people." Someone beside her suddenly became very interested in his drink. Sophia folded her arms. "You're being sensitive again." "Maybe." I stepped closer. "But here's what isn't going to happen. You're not going to make me the entertainment every time we're around other people." Her face tightened. "Are you seriously doing this here?" "You started it here." She lowered her voice. "You've become impossible. And you're getting comfortable disrespecting me." A woman named Claire, one of Sophia's longtime friends, stepped between us slightly. "Maybe you two should talk about this later." I nodded. "That's exactly what I'm going to do." I picked up my jacket. Sophia stared at me. "Where are you going?" "Home." "You're leaving me here?" "I came here with you. I'm leaving because of you." I walked out. She didn't follow. When I got home, I didn't call her. I didn't send an apology. I changed clothes, made coffee, and went to bed. She arrived nearly 2 hours later. She walked into the bedroom and dropped her purse on the chair. "You embarrassed me tonight." I turned toward her. "I embarrassed you?" "Yes. You mocked me in front of everyone." It was harmless. No, it was deliberate. She stared at me. I sat up. Do it again if you want. But understand something, Sophia. Every time you disrespect me in public, I will remove myself from the situation. I'm not standing there while my wife tries to make me look small. She opened her mouth, then stopped. For the first time, she didn't have an answer. 3 days later, I noticed something that had nothing to do with jokes. I was checking our joint account before paying the mortgage when I saw a charge for $680 from a hotel in the city. I called Sophia from the garage. What was the hotel charge? There was a pause. What hotel? Harbor Point. $680. Oh, that. That isn't an explanation, she sighed. It was for a work seminar. Your company paid for those. I stayed an extra night. Why? Because I wanted to. I looked at the account again. There are 2 dinners on the same card. I met someone from work. Who? She became irritated. Why are you interrogating me? Because you're spending our money on a hotel and won't tell me who you were with. I told you, someone from work. Name? Silence. Then she said, You don't trust me. I leaned against the workbench. You're confusing questions with accusations. I don't have to explain every dollar I spend. On your personal account, no. On our joint account, yes. She hung up. That afternoon, I called the bank and opened a separate account. I moved half the money that belonged to me into it and left enough in the joint account to cover the mortgage and household bills. I wasn't hiding money. I was protecting myself. That evening, Sophia came home and saw the bank notification on her phone. You moved money. Yes. How could you do that without asking me? I didn't ask because it was my money. Her face tightened. You're punishing me. No, I'm setting a boundary. You've become paranoid. Then give me a reason not to be. She stared at me. You think I'm cheating? I didn't say that. You're thinking it. I think you're hiding something. That's enough for me to pay attention. She walked toward the stairs. You're turning into someone I don't recognize. I followed her with my eyes. No, Sophia. You're just getting a version of me that doesn't ignore things anymore. She stopped. What is that supposed to mean? It means if something is wrong with our marriage, tell me. She said nothing. Then she went upstairs. The next morning, I noticed another change. Sophia had started locking her phone. She had never done that before. That alone proved nothing. But later that week, I saw a notification flash across her screen while she was making coffee. I only caught a few words. Miss talking to you. The name disappeared before I could read it. Sophia immediately turned the phone face down. I didn't ask who it was, not yet. I already knew asking without facts would only give her another way to turn the conversation against me. So I made a decision. I would find out what was happening before I confronted her again. 2 days later, Sophia came home from work just after 9. She walked through the front door, saw me sitting in the living room, and stopped. You're still up? I was waiting. For what? The truth. Her expression changed. What truth? I stood up. Caleb. She went completely still. I had found his name on a parking receipt from the hotel. The receipt was sitting in the center console of her car. Caleb Warren, Sophia's ex, the man she'd dated before me. She stared at me. How did you find that? I was looking for the registration. The receipt was in your car. You went through my car? No, I didn't have to. The receipt was sitting right there. She looked away. Caleb contacted me. How long? A few weeks? You told me it was someone from work. I didn't think it mattered. You stayed in a hotel with your ex and didn't think it mattered? We didn't stay together. I stared at her. Then why lie? She looked away. Because I knew you'd react like this. I stepped closer. You don't get to lie because you're afraid of my reaction. Her voice became sharper. He wanted to talk. That's all? About what? Our past. I gave a short laugh. Your past has been texting you late at night, meeting you for dinner and booking a hotel? It wasn't like that. Then tell me what it was like. She couldn't answer. I nodded. That's what I thought. She suddenly became angry. You've been distant for months, Elliot. What did you expect? You barely talked to me. I was working. You were insulting me. You think that's all this is? No, I think you're using it to justify something you already wanted. She stared at me. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. Caleb understood me. I didn't move. He understood the woman I was before you. Then maybe you should have stayed with him. Her eyes narrowed. You're not even going to fight for me. No, That caught her off guard. I continued. I don't compete with another man for my wife's attention. If you want Caleb, go to Caleb. She looked almost angry that I wasn't begging. You're serious? Completely. She picked up her purse and walked upstairs. I stayed in the living room. 10 minutes later, I heard the bedroom door slam. I didn't follow her. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. I didn't file yet. I wanted to understand my options first, and I wanted Sophia to know one thing without me ever having to say it twice. I was no longer trying to save a marriage she was already preparing to leave. The attorney's office was 20 minutes from my job. His name was Nathan Pierce, and I chose him because Grant had used him during his own divorce. I explained everything without exaggerating. The public insults, the hotel, Caleb, the separate finances. Nathan listened and asked questions. Do you have children? No. Property? Our house. Both names are on it. Any joint debt? The mortgage and 2 credit cards. He wrote everything down. Then he looked at me. Are you certain you want to move forward? Yes. Then don't threaten her with divorce. Decide what you're going to do and do it. That was exactly what I intended. I went home that evening and found Sophia sitting at the kitchen table. She looked tired. Where were you? Work. You've been gone longer than usual. I had an appointment. With who? My attorney. Her eyes changed immediately. You hired a lawyer? Yes. You're actually doing this? I haven't filed yet. She stood. Elliot, you're destroying our marriage. I stared at her. You've been meeting your ex behind my back. It wasn't an affair. Maybe not, but you lied about it. She walked closer. I told you because I knew you'd understand eventually. No, you told me because I found out. She looked away. Then her voice softened. I can stop talking to him. You shouldn't have needed me to ask. I'll delete his number. Do what you want. She frowned. You don't care? I care. That's why I'm leaving. She stood there silently. Then she changed tactics. After everything we've built, you're just going to walk away? I've been trying to keep this marriage together while you've been telling me I'm not enough. I never said that. You said it without those exact words. She stepped closer. I was angry. So was I. But I still love you. I looked directly at her. Love isn't permission to disrespect somebody. Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. What do you want from me? Nothing. That answer seemed to hit harder than an argument would have. The next morning, I moved my clothes and tools into a small furnished apartment near my office. I didn't slam doors. I didn't take things that weren't mine. I left the house clean and told Sophia she could keep using the joint account for the mortgage until the attorneys sorted everything out. Before I left, she stood in the doorway. Are you really leaving? Yes. For how long? I picked up my keys. For good. She stared at me. Then she whispered, You won't find anyone who understands you like I do. I opened the door. That's not the problem, Sophia. What is? I don't want to be understood by someone who doesn't respect me. Then I left. A week later, Sophia's mother invited us to Sunday dinner. I almost declined. Then I decided to go. Not to repair anything. I wanted to keep things civil until the divorce was settled. The dinner was at her parents' house. Her mother, Marilyn, had cooked enough food for 10 people. Sophia's brother, John, was there with his wife, Claire, and everyone was trying hard to act normal. Sophia barely spoke to me during dinner. Then John asked how things were going. Fine, Sophia said. I didn't answer. Claire looked between us. Are you two still living separately? Yes, I said. Sophia put her fork down. We're figuring things out. I looked at her. No, I'm figuring things out. Her mother sighed. Please don't start tonight. I didn't start anything, I said. Sophia looked at me. You always make everything sound so final. It is final. Her face tightened. Then she picked up her wine. You know what my problem is? Nobody answered. You want me to be grateful for everything you do. I shook my head. I never asked for gratitude. You want me to admire you for working all day and fixing things around the house. No, I wanted my wife to respect me. She laughed. Respect. Yes. She took another drink. Then she said, Maybe I expected more from my husband. Her mother looked uncomfortable. Sophia continued. Caleb never needed to be told how to make a woman feel wanted. The table went silent. I looked at her. You're bringing him up here? She shrugged. Why shouldn't I? Because we're married. Are we? That question changed the room. I put my fork down. Sophia looked directly at me. Then she said the words that ended everything. He was a real man. I regret leaving. Nobody moved. Her mother whispered, Sophia. Claire stared at her in disbelief. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam the table. I simply looked at Sophia and asked, Are you finished? She seemed surprised by the question. I meant what I said. Good. I stood. Her father looked at me. Elliot? I shook my head. No, let her have what she wants. Sophia's expression changed. What does that mean? It means tomorrow morning I'm filing. She stared at me. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious. I picked up my jacket. Her mother started crying quietly. Sophia stood. Elliot, wait. I looked at her one last time. You made your choice tonight. Then I walked out. I was at Nathan Pierce's office at 8 the next morning. The divorce papers were already prepared. He slid them across the desk. You're sure? Yes. He nodded. Then sign here. I signed. There was no satisfaction in it. Just clarity. At 8:47, the filing was submitted. By 10, Sophia was calling. I didn't answer the first call. Then another. Then another. Finally, I picked up. Elliot, what did you do? I filed for divorce. You actually did it? Yes. Her voice became shaky. I didn't think you'd really go through with it. I told you I would. I was angry last night. You said you regretted leaving Caleb. I didn't mean it like that. You said it in front of your family. I was drinking. You were drinking, not unconscious. She went silent. Then she said, Can we meet? For what? To talk? We've talked. Please. I agreed to meet her that afternoon at a coffee shop near my office. When I arrived, she was already there. She looked different. Not angry, not confident. Just tired. She stood when I approached. Sit down, she said. I sat across from her. I want to fix this. You had months. I know. You had chances. I know. She reached across the table. I pulled my hand back. Her eyes dropped. I made a mistake. You made a series of choices. I don't want Caleb. That's between you and Caleb. I want you. I looked at her. You wanted more than me. I was confused. No, you were honest. She frowned. What does that mean? You finally said what you wanted. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to lose our marriage. I shook my head. You already lost it. She looked down. What about everything we've built? We'll divide it fairly. And our house? Handled through the attorneys. She wiped her eyes. Is there nothing I can say? No. Why? Because if I stayed now, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering when you'd decide I wasn't enough again. She stared at me. I stood. I hope you find whatever you were looking for. She whispered, And if I don't? I picked up my jacket. That isn't my responsibility anymore. I walked outside. For the first time since this started, I didn't feel angry. I felt finished. The divorce took 4 months to finalize. There was no courtroom fight. Nathan handled the paperwork, and we divided everything according to the agreement. Sophia kept the house temporarily while it was prepared for sale. I kept my tools, my motorcycle, and the savings I had moved before we separated. Caleb never became part of the divorce. I never contacted him. I didn't need to. 6 months after the family dinner, I was living in a small house near the construction yard. It wasn't fancy, but it was quiet. My morning started early. Coffee, work, then an hour in the garage before bed. Grant came over most Fridays. One evening we were sitting outside when he asked, You ever hear from Sophia? Sometimes. What does she want? Mostly to talk. Grant shook his head. You going to? No. He nodded. Good. A few weeks later, Sophia called while I was finishing work. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. Hello? There was silence. Finally, she said, I heard about Caleb. I leaned back in my chair. What about him? He moved. Okay. He was never what I thought he was. I said nothing. He told me he doesn't want anything serious. That sounds like something you need to deal with. She took a breath. I made a terrible mistake. You made your choice. I know. There was another silence. Then she said, Do you remember what you told me at the beginning? I told you a lot of things. You said if I wanted something different, I should say it. I remember. I should have listened to you. You should have. She laughed softly through the phone. I thought you would fight harder for me. I looked around my garage. 6 months earlier, I had been standing in the same place trying to understand why my wife kept making me feel like I wasn't enough. Now, I didn't have to understand it anymore. I wasn't going to fight another man for my own wife, I said. She didn't answer. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry. I believe you. Can we ever be friends?" No. That hurt her, but I meant it. Take care of yourself, Sophia. I ended the call. The next morning, I stood in my kitchen making coffee. Same routine, different life. I thought about the night she had told her family that Caleb was a real man. She had wanted me to feel small. Instead, she had given me the clearest answer I could have asked for. She chose him. I chose myself. And that was the last decision I ever had to make about our marriage. Thank you for watching.